Why don't you tell me, is it just a coincidence? We never even heard of this before. Show me the text message of Cassie saying to Kid Cudi, wow, I heard about your car. I bet you it was Puff. He always said he was going to do that. I can hear you guys in the comments on now. But what more evidence do you need? He said he was going to do it. And oh, ironically, boom, the car blew up. Blaze the fire, show me a lighter tonight. Arson, another Rico predicate joke. Y'all ready to get into this? Yo, see, you ready to get into this?
I'm always ready.
All right, let's talk about the blaze it up, blaze it up, blaze it up. He said he was going to blow up the car, and he blew up the car. All right, let's jump into the statute. Can you just read what arson is? I think all of us already know what arson is. It's setting something on fire. But, there's a few things in the statute that we want to isolate. So why don't you just pull up the statute and just read that beginning part for us, please?
Arson is a crime of common law originally defined as the malicious burning of the dwelling of another. However, the definition changed slightly depending upon the jurisdiction. For some jurisdictions, arson is the intentional setting of fire to a building. Others, it is the intentional setting of a fire to a building where people live. Additionally, there are some minor differences between arson at the state and federal level. Under 18 U.S.C. 844, it is a federal crime to damage or destroy by means of fire or an explosive any property used in interstate or foreign commerce or in any activity affecting interstate or foreign commerce.
So we understand.
Mhm.
You really think Puff was not responsible for blowing up Cuddy's car?
No, if he was gonna do it, why would he do it 1 month after? If he was a serious man, and we all know that Puff is a very serious man, and when he wants to get something done, he's gonna get it done.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Relax. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Gotcha. Jeez, these Jamaicans, man. All right. They get heated. Listen, I'm very disappointed in you because I asked you a trick question. What car blew up? No car blew up, right? No car blew up. Now, that does still fall within the realms of arson, according to the statute, even if it's malicious or intentional fire. So let's just go with that. I believe that Puff had something to do with Cuddy's car being set on fire. There was no car blown up. There's a big difference between you having something to do with it and people being able to prove that through word of mouth on the streets and people being able to say, yes, based on the evidence in the court of law, this is what happened. There's a big difference. There's evidence in the court of law that this is what happened, and then there's evidence in the streets that this is what happened. So me not being a street dude, I always tell people I am from the streets. I am from where I'm from, but I am not in the streets. I am not a street guy. I am not any of that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not street smart. And in the streets, it's safe to assume that this is what happened. But in real life and in the court of law, things have to be proven. So let's get into the proof that we have so far. The number one proof is Cassie. That's the primary evidence that we have. And remember, testimony is evidence. So if Cassie testifies to something on the stand, you can take that as evidence. So Cassie says, Puff said he was going to set his car on fire or blow up the car. Blow it up. This is in December of 2011. She says, blow it up is what Puff said it was going to happen. And I'm not even going to be in the country. And I want his friends to see his car on fire. This is Cassie's testimony. What other evidence we have? We've got the DNA evidence that there was a Molotov cocktail. And this is basically made with a bottle. I should have brought a bottle. All I got is a lighter. Don't even have them. I should have brought a bottle. It's a bottle, and in the bottle is a liquid that will set on fire. and then they have something that they put into the bottle, and then they light the bottle on fire and they throw it at you. Y'all go watch A Bronx Tale, great movie and a great example of these Molotov cocktails. However, they tested the bottle. DNA evidence came back to a woman. So let's break this down. Cuddy has a Porsche 911. Believe it was a Porsche 911. Soft top. Top is cut out. Molotov cocktail is put into the roof of it. The DNA evidence from this particular thing came back to a woman. Then there's a fire. His dog walker sees it, and his dog walker calls him and says, "Your car's on fire." And they get the authorities. Here's one thing that a lot of people are getting mistaken throughout this trial. A lot of people mistake a lot of different stories and they add testimony to this, that, and next. The fact of the matter is, no, there was no bad boy car that was seen on the day of the fire, which you guys were talking about in my last video about the comments. You guys were saying there was a car that was found and they ran the plates and the plates ran to a bad boy. That was a different day. The day that Cuddy's car was set on fire, that day there was no bad boy car. There was no bad boy car. The day that Puff allegedly trespassed in Kid Cudi's home, that was the day that they found the bad boy car. These are two separate days and two separate months as well. So let's review this evidence again. Cassie said he's going to blow up the car, and then the car got set on fire. There's DNA evidence, and that DNA evidence came back to a woman. And is there any more evidence? See, you're the pro here.
Yes, there is also Kid Cudi's testimony.
Yes, that's right. So Kid Cudi also testified to his car being set on fire. Kid Cudi went on the stand and they asked Kid Cudi, "Do you think that Puff was honest when he said, I don't know what you're talking about the car?" And Kid Cudi said, "No, I don't think he was being honest." So we've got three pieces of evidence: DNA evidence, Cassie's testimony saying he said he was going to blow up the car, and he did. And then we've got Kid Cudi saying, "Yes, my car was on fire." This happened 3 to 6 weeks after, Puff found out that I was knocking down his chick, which I actually didn't even realize he was still dating. I myself thought that she was my own girl. And remember, Brian Steele did say she played both of you guys, didn't she? And Kid Cudi said, "Yeah, she played both of us because she was dating both of us at the same time, and neither of us knew." This is all we have for the evidence that the car was set on fire. Like I said to you guys, in the streets, you're knocking down another dude's woman, and then your car gets set on fire. You're probably going to look at the other dude and say, that guy might have done it. However, that's motive for one person. Let's talk about the motive. Like I said, from the streets, right? So in the streets, you're knocking down another dude's woman, you might face repercussions from the other guy, especially when he's as powerful as Puff is. However, that is only one person with motive. Let's take ourselves back to 2011. See, when did Man on the Moon come out?
It came out September 2009.
So 2009. Okay. So 2009 is Kid Cudi's first album, Man on the Moon. I believe it's his first studio album. But if even if it wasn't his first album, it's his biggest album. This is when he had Day and Night. This is when he had Pursuit of Happiness. This is when he was actually the biggest that he had ever been. This all happens in 2011. Puff puts the two of them in the studio because he says, "Hey, look, Cassie, your career is coming up. His career is coming up. You guys should hang out, make music together, stuff like that." Okay, they get into the studio, and it's not what Puff thought, just like it wasn't what he thought when he got Cassie that part in that movie, Honey 3. He didn't think that she was going to start knocking boots with Michael B. Jordan. Just like when he put her in the studio with Kid Cudi, he didn't think that she would be knocking boots with Kid Cudi. Just like he hired the trainer that she's married to right now, he didn't think that she would be knocking boots with the trainer. Puff keeps making the same mistake over and over again and introducing her to guys that she cheats on him with. but that's neither here nor there. Gets her in the studio with Kid Cudi. Fire. Kid Cudi is on fire right now. Okay, no pun intended with the arson, but Kid Cudi is on fire right now. Then we've got this whole she's in a relationship with him. Puff finds out. 2009 to 2011. Kid Cudi is on fire for 2 straight years, on tour, filming music videos, going and making appearances and performances and all of this stuff. And y'all think by 2011, Cassie is the only woman he's knocking boots with? What is he, a virgin? Cassie's the only woman he's knocking boots with between 2009 all the way up to the end of 2011. He's in the pinnacle of his career. This is a superstar, pinnacle of his career. First album comes out, fire. For the 2 years that he first comes out, from 2009 to 2011, Cassie's his only woman. He's not knocking down any other woman, and he's not knocking down any other guy's woman. This is a New York jury. I keep telling you guys this. We are not stupid out here. A New York jury simply says, yes, there was motive with Puff. He did have motive to go and commit this arson. But if we look at the context in which here is a guy that is in the pinnacle of his career. Kid Cudi today is 41 years old. In 2010, 2011, which was about 15 years ago, Kid Cudi, that's the math, will be what, 26 years old? 26 years old. So he's in his mid 20s, right? In 2009 to 2011, he would have been in his mid 20s, pinnacle of his career. And he just has one girl. He has no enemies. He's not knocked down another guy's girl. Has one girl that found out that he had another girl. What I'm trying to say is there's nobody else that would ever dream of having motive to do anything to this guy's car. There's another song I want you guys to look up, okay? This song is by Jasmine Sullivan, an amazing R&B artist. This came out in 2008, which is a year before Kid Cudi really blew up and around the time now that Kid Cudi's car caught on fire. This album is called Fearless. First song on the album is called Bust Your Windows. Look up the song, okay? There's another movie called Barbershop. Go look it up. Go watch it. Baseball bat to the guy's car. It's the MO for many scorned women. Around this time, it was all in movies and it was in songs and stuff like that. It's the MO for the scorned woman to destroy the guy's car. And I'm not saying this is what happened. Remember, I started here by saying I do believe that Puff has something to do with it. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that's not the only person that I believe would have had the motive. There could have been other people with motive. This is a rich guy who just got his lick, who's just now reaching his peak, who just released his first studio album, as far as I understand. And definitely, if it wasn't his first, the first successful one, I should say. And hit after hit on that album. He's only has one woman. He has no enemies. It's only Cassie and it's Puff. And if something happened to his car, it's because of Cassie and Puff's relationship and the fact that he was also in a relationship with Cassie. Nobody else has a motive. We have to rule out everybody. Rule them all out. That's the guy that dies and they say, I wonder who would have had a motive. And then they say, who didn't have a motive? Who wouldn't want this guy gone? Now, I'm not saying Cudi had enemies left and right. I'm just saying this is a New York jury. We say, okay, But let's go back to that time between 2009 and 2011. And I get it. Yes, Puff had a motive, but can we honestly say that nobody else had a motive? Nobody on planet Earth had a motive. And the reason why I bring up the women and the bust your windows and all of this kind of stuff is because the DNA that was found on the Molotov cocktail came back to a female. Now, if you hate Puff, you're going to say, yeah, he got one of his female assistants to do it. How do you know? Were you there? Were you there? You don't know. Isn't it just as plausible to say, or maybe, just maybe, he also had other scorned women out there? Maybe he had another girlfriend that actually got upset that she found out that he was with another woman, or maybe doing something on the side, or had multiple girlfriends, or I don't know. I mean, let me know in the chat if this is crazy. If I'm totally off here, that this female DNA on this Molotov cocktail could never be because there was a scorned woman, especially around this time when we have movies depicting what is really happening in real life and songs depicting what is really happening in real life around this time as well. Say it ain't so, Jay, that we can just be free thinkers. Say it ain't so. No, again, I'm telling you guys, I think this was Puff. I personally do. But when you are measuring things in the court of law, you have to weigh all the options. You have to take into account everything, not just the direction you're looking to go. And I believe this jury is doing that. They're saying, yeah, but we also have to understand that X, Y, and Z and A, B, C. So we covered motive. Okay. Motive is great. Motive is shaky. Motive is great. Motive is shaky. Just like allegedly Puff's hands when he doesn't have his drugs. Shaky. Then we've got Kid Cudi's testimony. So we know the car was caught on fire. We know that there was an investigation here of a detective from the fire department that also testified it looked like it was intentional. And we also have Kid Cudi's testimony saying, I didn't believe Puff when I said, what about my car? And he said, what are you talking about? So this goes back to Kid Cudi's testimony saying it did happen. The firefighter or detective's testimony saying, I did notice this was a Molotov cocktail and it was done on purpose. All right. So we've got that. Somebody did it on purpose. Cudi doesn't believe Puff. Okay. Now we've got the fire person's testimony in which he admitted that there has never, never, ever, ever, ever been a charge for this crime. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? So you guys expect a jury to conclude that Puff is guilty for arson when the police department didn't even charge him? There was not even enough evidence to even charge him. So we're just supposed to say it was him because Cudi felt like it was him and he had a motive to do it. So we're going to charge him. So this jury is supposed to turn around and say the police department did not file any charges. They could not find enough evidence to say it was anybody, let alone Puff, just anybody, period. But the jury is supposed to conclude that it is Puff. What? Guys, that's not how this works. Police gather evidence, then enough evidence means they charge you. Then they have to bring the charge to the prosecutor. The prosecutor has to say, yes, there's enough evidence to actually uphold these charges. We're going to bring this person to court. Then they bring them to court. A judge or a jury has to say, based on the evidence presented, now we find them guilty. And in some cases, there's also a grand jury. And a grand jury has to say there's enough evidence to even go to trial in the first place. We didn't even reach step one, which is enough evidence to charge somebody. We didn't even get there yet. So we are expected a jury to jump from who knows who did this to he did this when the police department couldn't even bring enough evidence to charge the guy. Guys, what are we talking about? But I can hear you guys in the chat and I can hear you guys in the comments all now. But what more evidence do you need? He said he was going to do it. And oh, ironically, boom, the car blew up. See, what's that witch lady's name? You call her the witch. Nancy Witch Face Grace. This is just like Scott Pearson. He said he was going to blow up the car, and boom, the car blew up. Just like Scott Peterson said, this is going to be my first Christmas without my spouse, and boom, there it goes. Stop. This is where we end this nonsense. Look at it. It's just a coincidence, Jay. Jay, is it just a coincidence that he said he was going to do it and the car blew up 3 to 6 weeks later? Is this just a coincidence, Jay? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. And I rarely ever answer a question with a question, but I would like to answer your question with a question, if I may. Is it just a coincidence that the first time that we heard of this threat of blowing up this car was 13 years after the incident? When somebody was writing a book that they were trying to sell somebody for $30 million? Is it just a coincidence, Karen? Is it just a coincidence, Nancy? Riddle me that. Riddle me that. So you're asking me, is it a coincidence that she claims that a car blew up after he said the car was going to blow up, when no car blew up, and we didn't hear anybody say anything about this until she filed her lawsuit in 2023 after trying to sell him the rights to a tell-all book for $30 million in 2023. So 12 years later, from 2011 to 2023, although this did happen in January of 2012, same thing, 11, 12 years later, she tries to sell a book. And it's the first time we ever heard that he ever said that a car was going to be on fire or being blown up. This just coincidentally so happens to be brought up when she wants $30 million by selling somebody the rights to a book. And then they turned that book into a lawsuit when he told her kick rocks for the rights to the book. Think, 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 think. Why don't you tell me, is it just a coincidence? We never even heard of this before. Show me the text message of Cassie saying to Kid Cudi, wow, I heard about your car. I bet you it was Puff. He always said he was going to do that. She sent an email with a subject line, threats, in December of 2011. And this incident happened in January, February of 2012. Yet she sent an email titled Threats, and she sent it to her mother, Capricorn Clark, and God knows who is BCC'd. And she took a screenshot of this and she documented the threats. Why was the blowing up of a car not in that email? If he already told you he was going to do it, why wasn't it in the email? Why is there no conversation between Kid Cudi and Cassie saying, hey, just to let you know, he said he's going to blow up your car. Be careful. Watch your back. No documentation. And we all know Cassie likes to document things because all of the S tapes that have been played in the court and all of the S tapes that are part of this trial all came from her devices. All of these text messages and screenshots all came from her. So we know she likes to document things just in case she wants to write a book later and sell it to you for $30 million. Or if you don't listen or you don't pay attention, maybe she might want to sue. So coincidentally, The first time any soul on human earth has ever heard about this threat that he was, yeah, said his car was going to blow up and then it blew up, is 12 years after the car actually caught on fire. Hmm. Hmm. Guys, if you are falling for this nonsense that you can prove arson, you're nuts. I started this video by saying I actually think that Puff did it because I actually think Puff is that type of guy. Based on me being in the trial every day, except for Thursdays, just based on that and understanding basically the testimony telling all of us that he's that dude that flies off the rail, he does things crazy and all that stuff. And just knowing guys that are also like him in real life, I do know people with that type of personality. I do believe. But that's not enough. A hunch is not enough to prove something in the court of law. Going off of a hunch, yeah, he's the type of guy that would do that. And he had the reason and he had the resources. So he would do that. Find somebody guilty of Rico. Find somebody guilty of S trafficking. Find somebody guilty of the Mann Act. You can't just say, yeah, he probably did. That's not how this works. So, what did we do in this video? Arson, done. We keep knocking down these predicate charges. Done. Get that one out of here. Out of here. Kidnapping, out of here. Arson, out of here. Ass trafficking, out of here. Mann Act, out of here. Get all of these predicate charges out of here. They're all not adding up. None of them. Forced labor, out of here. Drug trafficking, out of here. All of these, we're breaking them down in this channel because these are the conversations that are going to be happening in the jury deliberation room. There's going to be somebody like me that says, no, 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 no. This is ridiculous. Think about it. The first time we heard about this is 12 years later when she's trying to sell a $30 million book. Think about it. It don't sound right to me. No text messages. No, I think that was Puff. No, I heard about your car. No, hey, watch your back. There's nothing. We don't hear anything about it until then. We use our brains on this channel. And if you just want to get Puff, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong place. Go and be great. Greatness is a choice.